My name is John Sienkiewicz. I lost my daughter, Alexandria Sienkiewicz, April 2nd of 2016. I'm here to speak about the experiences that I've had with dealing with the Schuylkill County Coroner's Office. I first met Deb Detweiler on April 2nd of 16 at Coaldale Hospital when my daughter passed away from an overdose. Deb was very kind, caring. She comforted our family. She stopped me from making a mistake of going after the ones that were involved with my daughter's death. I know a lot of people say that she's taking advantage of people who've lost a loved one. She didn't ask me to do this. I asked to do this. She has done nothing but be kind to our family and shown the utmost care for our daughter and our situation. When our daughter passed, we called Sienkiewicz from the funeral home. We've known him for many, many years, and he asked who was coming, who was on scene. And when I gave Deb Detweiler's name, he said we were in very good hands, and have her call him when she was ready for our daughter to go with him. Deb made a promise to our family that our daughter wouldn't see the morgue, and the hospital did keep her in the room. After everything that I've learned about the bodies being stored in a trailer and a storage cubicle off of a truck, I'm very thankful that that did not happen. We ran into some difficulties right from the beginning. We knew our daughter's friends that she was out with, and we were being reached out to that very morning when our daughter passed. Honestly, if it hadn't been for Deb, a lot of evidence would have been lost. Tamaqua PD did not get my daughter's cell phone. I actually had it, and Deb secured it and then turned it over to the police department. But it just seemed like the case wasn't going anywhere, and things were taking too long. It was probably a good month, and we finally got the urine and drug screen test back. So we went in and met with Dr. Moylan, and at that time, Mary from up in Hazleton, the pathologist, had been there, or was there as well as Deb. Our daughter died of 100% fentanyl overdose, and Dr. Moylan started immediately calling it murder, and he wanted murder-homicide for cause of death. That's how he started telling us he was going to sign the death certificate. A little while longer, quite a few months longer, we still didn't have a death certificate, and we were waiting for the autopsy. And we requested an autopsy, not a virtual scan, but a virtual scan was done on our daughter as well, and I just don't understand the reason for it, other than billing the county for it. We'd only met with Dr. Moylan, I believe, 2 or 3 times. Getting a return phone call was very hard from him, but if we called Deb, we immediately got a phone call back as soon as she was free. She kept us up to date with everything that was going on. Finally got to the point where we had the pathology from the report from the autopsy, and again Dr. Moylan met with us, and it was murder. He wanted to see the people that did this to our daughter arrested. He wanted to list this as a homicide, murder. His words, not anyone else's. We still didn't have a death certificate. Coming into the investigation with our daughter's case, Tamaqua PD was having some trouble, and Deb helped us get in contact with the state police. And she arranged a meeting for us to sit down and discuss everything with the state police pertaining to our daughter's case. At that time, the state police said they would go and talk to the local police department and see if they would turn it over. They did. The investigation was slow, painstakingly slow, but the state police did a very good job. We still didn't have a death certificate. This is months and months down the road. I received a phone call from Dr. Moylan July 5th of 16. He told us he was ready to list the cause of death. Now, up until this point, everything he had said was this was murder, this was a homicide. The phone call, I missed the phone call at first, and I called right back, and it took about 20 minutes for him to get to the phone. And he told me he was ready to list the cause of death. The cause of death was going to be accidental overdose. That didn't settle very well with me or my wife, my entire family. The conversation with Dr. Moylan went on for close to a half hour, and Dr. Moylan finally explained to me why he was changing, why he wanted to list it as an accidental overdose instead of a homicide. He had said he was being pushed back against from the then DA, Christine Holman, that she would not allow a case to be listed as a homicide, murder, or death by delivery in Schuylkill County. And Dr. Moylan suggested that I call her and set up an appointment to hear her side of it, and I did. But that's a story for another time. Moving on from there, we had another big surprise thrown at us. Dr. Moylan had asked Deb to contact us and see if we would be willing to do a pilot TV show that this film company was coming from CBS. And please forgive me, I'm going to refer to the name because I always seem to forget it. The name of the film company is Spada Films, LLC. And the ones who were doing the filming was the Sparrows, Mr. and Mrs. Sparrow. It was a 2-day filming about the effects of opioids on a small community, a suburb community, rural community. So we did the first day of shooting, and then we were asked to come back again. I knew what was going on. I had a gut feeling that something wasn't right. I did a little bit of research, and CBS had not contacted Dr. Moylan. Dr. Moylan had reached out to this film company and asked them to shoot a documentary that he could pitch to a or to a TV station. On the second day of filming, we came in and we were brought into a conference room with an oval table So we sat down at the table. The film company, or the filming crew, was to our right. Dr. Moylan started talking, and he said he was ready to sign our daughter's death certificate. He wrote the cause of death on the death certificate as a homicide and signed it in front of a film crew. Yes, it's what we wanted, but yet we still felt we were run through a ringer by Dr. Moylan. The only way we would get a death certificate for our daughter listed as homicide was if we played ball with Dr. Moylan. To this day, we still feel the same way. How I've had the experience and the pleasure of dealing with Deb Detweiler for a little over 3 years. And I've seen her interact with families, as well as mine, but other families who've lost loved ones. She always has their best interest at heart. She's always kind, always listens, and always tries to give the best advice that she can give. I don't feel that Dr. Moylan is doing our county any justice by being a coroner. There are too many incidents where families are not receiving death certificates, they're not getting a cause of death, and it's taking months and months. And in some cases, it's taken better than a year. I know this because I work with a lot of people in recovery and a lot of families as a CRS. CRS is a certified recovery specialist. And I've worked here in Schuylkill County and other counties for almost 3.5 years now. Listening to some of the things that other families have talked about, and they get very angry, they get very upset. I know a lady who lost her son. So a year ago, it would have been a little over 3 years that she lost her son, and she still had not gotten anything from the autopsy, and she still didn't have a death certificate for her son. This goes on throughout the county quite a good bit. I would like to see change in the coroner's office, and I think that the only way we're going to get change is by getting somebody in office such as Deb, who will listen to the families, but yet do their job. They are an elected official. We elected them in. They are not run by any other agency. Not law enforcement, not the DA's office, not the commissioners. Their job is to rule on manner of death. What was the cause? And provide the families with the information that they need. We're not getting that adequately now. I personally feel that with Deb as coroner that we will get that. It may take a little bit to get the office back in order, but we will get it. I will be voting for Deb Detweiler on election.